Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abigail Phelan. Thank you for joining me today as I discuss the personal challenge I faced as a communications professional. Can you believe it? It has been 3 years since you packed up and moved to Florida. You started your career as an intern and worked your way up to become a program manager. From knowing nothing about the communications field to earning your master's degree in communication management, you have come a long way in a short period of time, but it did not come without its challenges. The following presentation will act as a sort of open letter to my former self, and hopefully inspire others to take certain steps to succeed in the communications field. I started with the Walt Disney Company as a communications intern. In this position, I had little knowledge of the overarching communication strategy or plan. I contributed what I like to call the what of communication strategy. Using my graphic design skills, I created visual content and occasionally wrote copy for certain communication vehicles. A year later, I became a communications associate. I continued to contribute graphic design work and copywriting. However, I also began working on what I like to call the how. I developed communication editorial calendars and started learning the communication strategy, the steps bringing us to the actual creation of content. Moving into the position of resort operations communication specialist came with a lot of new responsibilities and a lot of character. Sorry, had to make that joke. In this role, I was responsible for internal communication for a single resort with 1,200 employees. I was in charge of every part of the communication process, from outlining the purpose to planning the rollout and execution of tactics. I began to see the full scope and the many challenges that came with being a part of the communications field. I decided to go back to school to strengthen my understanding of communication and improve my skill set to achieve my career aspirations. In my positions, I considered 3 main components: why, identifying the purpose, goals, and objectives; how, what approach and communication vehicles were we going to utilize; and what, the physical tactics and content. My experience taught me the basics, but little did I know there was so much more to the communications field. During Communication 4020, Communication in Professions and Organizations, our professor asked us, "What is communication? How would you define it?" Funny enough, not a single one of us could pinpoint a true definition. We learned that communication is far from simple information transmission. Communication is a meaning-producing activity that is influenced by many internal and external factors. With every new position, I began to feel the weight and responsibility of owning a communication strategy. It wasn't until I became a manager that I truly understood the challenge. I am now fully responsible for the strategy and tactical approach. I must define the purpose, plan, and execute to successfully develop a communication strategy, all while preparing for the unexpected and potential change. As leader, I also have a group of direct reports who look to me for direction. It is my job to help them understand the process while keeping stakeholders happy and informed. So the challenge many communication leaders will face is how to stay relevant and prepared in a field that continually changes. Contributing factors may include new employees, leadership, technology, or social media. All of these can alter a communication strategy. Something that worked in the beginning of the year may not work by the time fall comes around. As an internal communications team for the Walt Disney Company, we know we will never be able to connect with every employee. However, there are things we can do to make meaningful engagements with those we do reach. I believe there are 2 main ideas to address the challenge. 1, consistent communication planning, and 2, embracing a culture of metrics. Addressing the challenge begins with understanding our audience. One way to see how our brand and audience come together is through a brand audit and analysis. Although sometimes redundant, conducting an audit can strengthen our efforts and help us learn more about our team and our target audience. When I began my management position, I noticed an inconsistency in my team's identity. No one could confidently outline what our purpose or goals were. If we could not articulate who we were and what we did, then how can we expect our audience to understand? It wasn't until Communication 4301, Branding and Market Positioning, that I realized what was missing. We learned that executing on a strategy designed to build long-lasting brand recognition, resonance, and loyalty is a critical marketing responsibility. So, after that, I decided to conduct a full brand audit defining the purpose, goals, target market, competitors, strengths, and weaknesses. A brand audit should be done at least once a year to address any changes or trends the company may have experienced. Of course, communication planning would not be possible without a strong team and collaboration. One team with one purpose can come together to achieve their goals. As a leader facing the challenge, I need to help my team understand the process and prepare for the change. Communication 4020, Communication in Professions and Organizations, taught us that understanding the role communication plays is essential for members and leaders to succeed in their professions. I also learned during this class that as a leader, you are only successful when your whole team succeeds. A resource from our class, the Forbes Business Council, stated, "Leaders who have an honest sense of self and are in tune with their people are best at aligning their team with company goals, strategies, and culture." To be in tune with my team and address the challenge of change, I will look at 3 points: communication methods, being a transformational leader, and conflict resolution. Dory Minert said it best: "To be effective, leaders must make a connection with their audience." The leaders should never assume, but rather ask how their employees prefer to communicate. Having this knowledge can decrease the risk of miscommunication and improve the relationship between leader and employee. Whatever their preferred communication method is, by email, by phone, via video chat, text message, I want to know to make sure that I am staying on the same page as my team members. Communication 4020 also taught us the concept of transformational leadership. Transformational leaders lead by example, provide a clear vision, challenge their assumptions, encourage new ideas, and consider the needs of their employees. To address our challenge head on, I want to be a transformational leader and help my team see the end goal, make a connection, and create a positive impact on our audience. To effectively address change and create a strong communication plan, we always need to make sure that we are working well together as a team. During Com 4020, we learned about conflict communication and how to effectively address it. Instead of avoiding the subject, I want to encourage my team to have a professional and open conversation when conflict arises. Peter Northhouse's book, Introduction to Leadership, stated, "Avoidance as a style for managing conflict is usually counterproductive, often leading to stress and further conflict." In a different thought, Julia Wood, author of Interpersonal Communication, Everyday Encounters, believed the best way to resolve conflict is through a win-win scenario. This way we can identify any concerns, find common ground, and compromise to create a win-win. Through communication planning, we gain a better understanding of our audience, and we can work together to connect with them. Embracing a culture of metrics is a wonderful way to do this. A major benefit of embracing a culture of metrics is the ability to see your return on investment through data and analytics. We can physically show our stakeholders the value in our projects to gain their support financially and otherwise. During Communication 4324, Marketing Analytics, we learned that through data analysis, attribution modeling, and reporting, marketers are able to measure and optimize their initiatives. Before a project can continue or become sustained, we need support and buy-in from our stakeholders, and for us, specifically, this means executives. A resource from Marketing Analytics says, "To approach leaders about these matters, you have to prove that you have the same objectives as they do. This can be done by identifying common pain points. For example, my team hopes to increase attendance at our events. For the majority of us, we see it as an opportunity to build brand recognition and connect with our employees on a more personal level. For our executive team, higher attendance at our events shows value in our team and programming. This value correlates to further funding for the department." The topic of storytelling comes up a lot in communication. To gain return on investment, we can use our metrics to tell a persuasive story through data visualizations. A resource from Communication 4324 Marketing Analytics states, data storytelling is a structured approach for communicating data insights, and it involves a combination of three elements: data, visuals, and narrative. A great example of this is an action dashboard. Here's a sample of one I created in 4324. This type of data visualization shows stakeholders the most important pieces of information from a larger collection of data and analytics. They are easy to put together and can be shared on a variety of frequencies: weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever your executive prefers. One area I would like to highlight is the bottom right section of the action dashboard. Here you will see 3 to 5 simple recommendations a team can take to improve conversions. Bringing us to our next point, actionable next steps. While addressing our challenge of frequent change, we have to consider our projects and approaches wisely. For example, on my team, redesigning our website or application has the potential to improve engagement, build awareness, and increase attendance at our events. Our website analytics tell us what is working and what we can improve. Once the data has been reviewed and patterns are understood, we can take the necessary next steps to make edits to our strategy. Communication 4307, Developing Content for UX, taught us the importance of the design process and testing our work. User testing should be done at every point of the process as an integral part of an iterative design process. A/B split testing and user surveys are just a couple of the next steps a communications team could take. If we were to notice a low conversion with a particular page or function, we could apply an A/B split test to confirm our theory or assumption. Here's an example of a test I developed during Communication 4307. We had users look at 2 different screens. Results indicated they preferred option 1. As a result, our communications team would likely move forward with introducing option 1 to all of our users. As a part of the research and data collection process we were taught and learned about during our graduate program, I conducted a number of surveys in courses such as COM 4905, 4324, and 4307. My greatest takeaway from these courses is that surveys provide valuable and unique insights. In my current position, I have conducted a number of surveys around our website. The results help us make edits and see how the site performs the following week, month, or quarter. Keep in mind, apps and websites are just a couple of areas metrics come into play. Social media and email marketing should also be considered. To keep up with trends, embracing a culture of metrics can only help a team further achieve their goals. Communication planning through brand audits and efficient teamwork, along with embracing a culture of metrics to show return on investment and discover next steps, are just a few ways to address this challenge. Both ideas have truly enriched my experience as a communications professional. Now graduating with my master's degree in communication management, I am excited to continue applying my learnings to my career. I am leaving as a more confident and prepared leader. It was an incredible experience and without a doubt brought me one step closer to achieving my career aspirations. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope it leaves you thinking about the many ways we can tackle the ever-changing communications industry.